Hi, Nidia.
Hello, everybody. Wait,
It's just me.
bless you. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Trying to
Good.
relax.
Good. Hi, Camille.
Why?
Sorry.
Good morning or after you guys are afternoon. No, you're afternoon, Christine.
I'm afternoon. Nidia's morning still.
Me and Nydia, we're in a
Yeah,
nice,
11 o'clock.
foggy,
Not too early, though.
foggy, cold, beautiful morning.
There we go.
I need one of those nice, foggy, cold, beautiful mornings. I'm just trying to keep my feet warm in my desk because I've been doing meetings all morning.
Oh no.
This
What's
is
the
my
temperature
work
over there?
day. It's good question. Right now it's 45, so it's almost the high. We have a high of 47 today, low of 23.
I think that's what let me look. I think that's what we're at. Let me see. Yeah, no, today a high of 56.
Oh, nice.
But now it's 46.
Almost exactly the same.
Yeah, right?
That's funny. Oh, well, hello. I see Dottie just hopped on. Hi, Dottie. This always happens
There
to
we
me.
go.
Irene said, as soon as I open Zoom, it makes me do the update. Yeah.
It's too bad.
She's hopping on right now. It's okay.
I have a
You what? Oh, she muted.
no. I was telling my niece because we came to visit my in-laws. So we're in Cambria, California,
Mhm.
and so I'm onto the little side outside.
What we're looking for. What I was looking for.
That is nice, Nydia. Are you going to go to the beach?
No, we came.
Oh, you muted.
We came to for my nephew's birthday party, and so we're in the ranch. So I'm just outside, and I don't want to go. I don't want to go back home.
I know. It's so pretty there.
Where do you usually live?
Are you talking to me?
Nydia, where do you usually live in California?
Fresno, California, Central Valley.
So it's different than, so you're at the beach and you're not normally at the beach?
Yeah, 2.5 hours away. Right here, we're like 5 minutes away from the beach.
Camille,
but it's mountains and it's hills.
Rudy and I live in the same town.
Did y'all know each other before did you introduce each other to Christine?
No,
I
Christine
introduced them
us
to one another.
Wowee.
Christine asked me to speak at one of her refresh conferences. Yeah, one of her refresh conferences. And then there was another event here in Fresno that I went to. And then Nydia was there. And then she came up to me and we started talking. And she said, I saw you online at Christine's event. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. I go all the way over to Kansas City and speak, and then she watches it online and we live in the same town. It was just so cool.
Wow.
I'd been trying to connect you guys for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, because you kept saying, "Do you know her? Do you know her?" And I'm like, "No, I don't know her." So now I do, and I'm happy to know you.
And you know, I don't, Camille, do you know Jill?
Jill Arma.
She has yes, yes. So it was so funny because you don't know her. Oh, Robert knows her. Well, okay, so do you know her?
I do.
I know of her, but I never, Robert does the engaging classes with her. Some of them, he told me. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I've known her for years. We did healing rooms together for a while. Long story short, she was posting some stuff and I was kind of, and I just kept saying no, you know. Anyways, she connected me to Christine.
Wow.
Christine, did you say you know her or you know of her?
I know of her.
Yeah.
So she connected me to Christine ministry. And so, yeah. And then, yeah.
Hey, this world is not that big.
Praise God. It's just so beautiful because the Lord, okay, this is when I started engaging. And so the Lord had to give me a dream in that dream. It's so beautiful. Anyways, so then when I connected with her, then she connected me with Christine, and then I connected with Robert and Marina and all you guys, somehow, some way. So like the Lord is so beautiful how he picks us out, and even if we're across the country, across the world, or neighbors,
yeah,
he's just connecting everybody.
So great.
I watched a Dr. Effa Emmanuel 3 or 4 days ago. Someone from India brings people onto Zoom like once a week or whatever, and he says, "So I'll be in Coral Springs, Florida, on the 18th. So I'm going to probably drive down there. It's an hour and a half south, but he's coming from Kenya to Coral, to an hour and a half away. I just have to kind of do that."
Awesome.
That's
love that.
Neat man of God, neat words.
Not to keep going on about it, but I was at a conference and I met this gentleman there, and then Christine had posted on his Facebook and said, "Oh, my friend Camille Holstein's there."
Oh, Serge.
Yeah. So I went to, all right. So then after the conference, I called Christine because I know she's up later. So I'm like, "Hey, you know, this guy, just met him today. We were sitting by each other." And it's just, so see, it's just not that big of a world. So it was just a great connection. It was just so fun.
This happens so often. I've met so many people through other people and not had an idea we were connected, you know? It's
right.
So fun. Cool.
And then I had been listening to Nancy Cohen. I don't know her. I haven't met her, but it was so cool because in the beginnings when I was tapping, the Lord was having me tap into the engaging and all that. I did see something about Nancy Cohen, but she was still incognito then. Anyways, and then now that Camille's connected to Nancy Cohen, I'm like, oh my gosh! And Charito, and then also Laura C. Like I've been like, the Lord like had randomly, put them up there on YouTube here and there, like without me knowing and stuff. So like we're all
so fun. Cool. Well, let's get started, you guys. I know that Myrna is not here for some reason, and I don't know about her. I know River couldn't be here. So we're not waiting on her. We're not waiting on Lisa because Lisa just got to Guatemala. And so she's in missions there for the next 2 weeks. So, okay. But we can always engage them in the heavenlies. Whether they know it or not. Well, let's focus in real quick and just acknowledge all of the people in our class and all of the beings in our class and all of that together, okay? Thank you, Lord. I see there are several. I just was kind of being thankful for their helping this week in the earth and working together. And I see some of them were not enlisted to help at all and have just been sitting there. And so if you haven't really interacted with your heavenly beings to help with stuff in the earth this week, why don't you just acknowledge that with them and maybe let them know that you will start doing that. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Let's focus back. I have an immediate word that kind of came from my interactions just now. Relates to some interactions I've had with some of you over this week too. So I'm just going to bring it up immediately. Not everyone in this class is feeling like they should be in this class, even though they have heard they're supposed to be in this class and were appointed to be here. I'm saying that I just interacted with this, I'm going to say this heavenly being who was kind of upset about being here. And which kind of surprised me. I don't know. I haven't had anything like that yet. And it came from a place of distrusting the Father, actually, and not knowing why he put him in this class. And so I know that there have been some other people who have felt disconnected this week and feeling like maybe they shouldn't be a part. And the biggest thing that the Lord has been showing me is that it is a work of the enemy to try to take people out of community and out of this fellowship. And so I believe that for all of every being who's in this class and every human who's in this class, every one of you was told you were supposed to be here by the Father, and the Father is trustworthy. If the Father has told you that, then there's a reason that you're here. And for you to have a negative attitude about it is disrespectful to the Father. And so I just want to redirect you and say, trust the Father and his will. He always knows best. And his plans are to prosper you, not to harm you. So you need to just remember that he has your best interests in mind. If you're here, it is to flourish you in your relationship with him and your relationship with everyone else and your purpose that he's created for you. And so just remember that, please, everyone. I'm saying this to the entire class. I just need you to focus on what Father is calling you to do. Be open today to reconnect and to have your listening ears on. That sounds like I'm talking to toddlers, but I'm just going to say it to everyone. Have your listening ears on to what Father is trying to say to you. Okay? It's super important. Not everyone really engaged this week with what you were to do. And part of it was just you didn't know how. Okay. And so I understand that. I want to bring it back to how simple it is. Okay. Because I think a lot of, at least people in the earth, I don't know about everybody else, but at least the people in the earth, some of you are overcomplicating things without understanding that that's what you're doing. And so when you are, if you remember, the assignment was basically to have your spiritual antenna up, right? To be able to just pay attention in the spirit, to when or how you're supposed to minister to anyone around you, and to engage your heavenly beings to do that with you, right? Well, I was talking, is it okay if I say who you are, who I was talking to? Okay, good. I was talking to Irene about this earlier. And she was struggling with, stuff that we all struggle with. I'm just going to say that, at least I do. There are times when I am not okay and I do not feel like I can minister. Right? Okay, there are times like this in my life, every week, probably. And there are times when I'm frustrated with people or situations or whatever, and I'm not in the right headspace to do that. This is the perfect time to engage your heavenly beings, okay? Because the whole point is, when we can't, they can. The skills that we don't have, they have. This is how we work together. And it's like this for all of you heavenly beings too. If you're like, I can't do this right now, then just ask your humans to do it too. Okay. We're working together. Like, it's a team effort. And so it isn't just about always being the best you could possibly be. I mean, that's the goal, right? But you don't have to feel that pressure. If there are times when you feel like you can't, you don't even hear them, you don't know who they are, that is okay. We are all learning and growing, and we just have to, by faith, say, hey, I need some help here. Can you guys just help me out? If you're struggling with dealing with a person in your life, for instance, you don't have to feel like you need to minister to them if you can't. But what you can do is engage your angels, your beings, whatever. And it doesn't just have to be the ones in this class. It can be any that are assigned to you. And just say, hey, I need help to minister to them because I can't do it right now. And that's okay. So I just wanted to say that because I know some people were frustrated and feeling like, I don't know how to connect. I don't know what I'm doing. And it's okay. It doesn't have to be hard. Okay. Nidia, go ahead.
Thank you. I wanted to share that actually happened to me this week. I had a kiddo. There was two kiddos. One of them was refusing to go to my class. The other one, I was like, Lord, I don't know how to minister this student here. And I was like calling on my heavenly beings. I wasn't hearing anything. I was desperate. I don't know how to work with this kiddo. He's refusing to work. He's not paying attention. He's just, not working. So I just let him be for a little bit. And I was just calling on them. I can't. I need you to help me minister him in the spirit. You guys can see him. I don't know who you are, everybody and anyone. And not even like an hour later, he came to me and he's like, okay, I'm ready. And I was like, whoa, it was so good. But I did. I had a yeah, not yell, but I had a like desperation, please help me here. And they did, and they came. And I don't know what they did. I don't know who showed up. I don't know. I just know it happened. So praise God for that.
Cool. Thanks, Nidia. Okay, so you kicked us off. Actually, I was going to ask if everyone would share how, like, at least one experience. No, just share one experience. I don't want it to go on for 10 years. Share one experience that you had this week, like that, for instance. Okay. In your own life in doing this. And if you were one of those people who's like, I don't know, I didn't understand, that's okay. You can say that. All right. It's fine because we're all growing and we're going to continue. This is a part 2 of last week that we're having today. Okay. So we're still talking about ministering from heaven today. So if you could, actually, I'm just going to call on you because I don't want to wait for people to volunteer. Yes. Can you tell I'm working on patience? So Camille, go first, please.
Okay, so I did watch the class from last week. I was at that conference, so I couldn't really participate. but I met with one of the speakers that spoke at the conference, and she wanted me to do some work on her. And I'm thinking, wow, I didn't feel qualified. Do you know what I'm saying?
That's
Which
bull
led me
crap.
to,
I do understand what you're saying, but I'm just calling like
right? Yeah. Not calling Bible study, but
right.
But anyway, so I was like, okay, so we went to lunch, we talked, she texted me. Anyway, I did some stuff with her, and it was so cool because not feeling like I could, like I was, not good enough or whatever. I think, sometimes we have people that are in ministry that do different things than we do. We feel like we're not on their level, and that's not true. So I know what you're saying. That's not true. So Lord showed me that. So that whole night, the Lord was giving me download for her, download. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't even sleep. But I woke up and I was completely fine. I was rested. I went to the event. The events last for, morning till nighttime. Anyway, so I did some work with her. And what was really cool was I engaged with, which I never did before, I didn't even know, I engaged with two spirits, one called freedom and one called victory.
Wow.
And I'm going to tell you, that was amazing because we know freedom, we know victory, what that means to us, but to actually engage the spirits of freedom and victory was like incredible. So now that I know my awareness, now I do that. I've been doing that for this whole time now, and they were always there. I just didn't know to engage them.
Right.
So anyway, that's my story.
Cool. Thank you, Camille. Mm-hmm. It's so funny how that happens. I've had this happen so many times that I'm like, I think one of my first ones that threw me off was knowing the spirit of discernment was like a being and not just something that you do. You know what I mean? And man, when you find that stuff out, it really is kind of life shifting because you get to then engage something that you had no idea you were missing out on. It's pretty incredible. You're right. Anyway, cool. Thank you for sharing.
Welcome.
Okay. How about Irene?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, my internet is a bit unstable, so yeah, I'll do what I can. So I'm one of those who did not understand the assignment. And yeah, I just didn't understand. Yes, I tried knowing my beings and stepping a little bit more into a deeper relationship with them. And yeah, so yeah, that's it.
That's awesome. One of the things I want to bring up is what you said to me. I don't think I even said anything when you said it, but she was meeting with my sister and me earlier this week. And it was really interesting because she said, well, I'm going to say this because I know sometimes it comes from a place of feeling like you're not enough, but that's not accurate. And so that's why I'm going to bring it up. She was saying how usually she's behind because it's like she is engaging the things from a couple weeks ago or whatever that was taught in the class. And that's actually how it's supposed to be. I mean, yes, I would like you to engage the things this week if possible, but the whole point is all of these things are just part of doing ministry. And so if you're not engaging it right away because it's not being received in your spirit yet, that's okay. It's not just acceptable. It's like this is good because you're going at the Lord's pace, and the Lord has different things for you at different times. And so if there's something and you're like, I just still need to work on oneness within myself, heck yes, I mean, do that. That's what you're supposed to be doing, is like building on these things and having these things. It's kind of like what Camille said about, I didn't even know that being existed, and now I can engage it, right? Well, it's the same with all of these things that we're learning. It's not that you have to be engaging it all the time. It's that now you have a grid for it. So now you're able to get to it when the Lord brings it to you. Otherwise, you wouldn't have even known that it's something you could access. And so just feel encouraged that you're still being led into doing these things, because it doesn't matter. I mean, for me, this is what I would like. First of all, y'all turn in your homework, okay? I'm just going to say that. Turn in your homework. Turning in your homework could be as easy as, I didn't understand it. I couldn't really engage that, but here's what I did instead. Like, you can just tell me that. The whole point is I want to know that you're actively pursuing what you're supposed to be pursuing. Okay. So it doesn't mean that, you have to get everything right or you've done all the things, but just at least say, here's where I'm at. This is what's going on. And I tried to engage this, or I didn't understand it, or I feel like I'm failing, or what. It's okay to be honest with that stuff. But just let me know. Okay. Some of you have turned in your homework, but some of you have not. And I just want you guys to know, this is part of the responsibility thing that I taught on a few weeks ago. Like, you just need to be responsible with it and just do what you're supposed to do. Okay. If you don't have time to do it, let me know. I don't have time. My life has gone crazy this week because this happens to me, and that's okay. You're going to get to it next week, right? It's okay to make up assignments or whatever. That's fine. But I just want you to, everyone in this class, like I said, the Lord has called you here to grow and to learn and to manifest things into the earth. And so I know you can do it. You just need to say, okay, Lord, this week is hard. I need your help. Or just be responsible. I don't know what the issue is. So whatever the issue is with you, just do that. Okay. So I'm not trying to be rude. I hope I never come across like that. I just want you guys to step up into your responsibility, because this is a different level class than a kindergarten Christianity 101 class. Okay. This is I'm stepping into the fullness kind of class. And anyone who is called here is called to a much higher calling. And so I just putting that out there. Okay. Sorry to do that and interrupt everything. Dottie, how about you go?
I'm glad that you asked us to do homework. And when you said to start writing it down and not use your scribe last time, I started to making sure I went back to my original notebook instead of doing a random page. Plus I was in town, so it helped. And thanks for bringing up all the prior things. I did actually do the homework, and I also was practicing communion, like Camille had mentioned before, and oneness with myself. I had to repent for things about my body. So I was apologizing to my soul and my spirit and body. And just from doing the healing code, there was something that just led that. So I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to be one with my body too. I completely forgot about that. But I've been doing more of one with Yeshua and one with Yahweh and one with Holy Spirit and inviting. So it's not as poignant as what Nydia had done, but I needed help organizing. I had free day of no tutoring, and I wanted to see. So I wrote down a list of things that I'd like to do, and then I put them on little pieces of paper and drew one out. And so it was organizing. And I said, all right, heavenly beings and angels, help me organize this one utensil drawer. And then I drew something else. I'm like, oh, it was the big utensil drawer. I didn't want to do that. All right, well, I did this one, then that one, and then that one, because they were helping me, notwithstanding my own, what I really wanted to do another thing. And I didn't draw that one out. I did not go through my clothes in the closet, which was another one, but I know that they helped me. I felt really good about it. And it took 3.5 hours. So luckily I started at 5 in the morning. And then I even did for someone's 50th birthday across the street. We were going to be out of town, but I had wanted to tell Paul Castle, these British people, that I would like to give them babysitting for their 2 kids so they could go out. Of course, I've been in and out of town, and now their parents are finally in town after 3 years. And they asked us to babysit while their parents are in town so they could actually have some adult time with them instead of every time you're with your parents, they're with the kids too. So it was beautiful. And I did ask Mark to go with me, and he loves the kids. And you could tell there's the older child syndrome, and she's like, expected to be better and stuff. Well, her birthday is tomorrow. So I asked heavenly beings, and I don't know all my people. I still do Tobias, Tyrone, and Skip, and I don't know if those are the right names, Turtlin, Bison, and Angels. And I went through my all my art things, and she loves unicorns and she loves mermaids. And I picked out just 5 of the 8 that were appropriate for her age art activities and wrapped each one. Instead of just putting them in a bag, I decided to make it really nice because she's the oldest and it's harder. The little kid is always being smiling and attention. And I just dropped it off, and Mark even commented on how well put together, with a big bow that way and another bow here, and just how each individual was wrapped. He made a comment. He's never commented on anything I've ever wrapped, and I love giving gifts, so there's been a lot, and he's never done that. So I felt like I was serving Ella. They can have arguments and stuff. Anyway, it blessed me. It wasn't like there was some kind of unusual thing, but the other person that God wanted me to bless was my husband, and we've been working on my marriage, and I'm like, okay, when I'm asleep, don't come in loud, don't let me wake you, don't wake me up. So that's been our norm. But I was awake, and I said, and I just backed up to him and even wake him up. He's like, and he's like, it's so snuggly. He didn't mind me waking him up at 4 o'clock. He's going to fish at 5. And so God's showing me how to just be loving to my husband, and I'm asking for help in doing that. So anyway, it was a neat thing. I still wish I would be able to see them, and like Camille, be able to know there are some beings. That's one of the things that I'm inspired that can happen. So anyway, it was fun, and I'll be, even though I don't see them, I try to have them help me make the bed or make me do whatever. Thank you.
Thanks, Dottie. Okay, how about Sam?
Yeah. I had quite a week. For me, I don't, let me see. How I do the things in the spirit is like I get promptings, and it's not like I see, but I get these like maybe words in my mind or a prompting or something. So yeah. And so I was my sister was having her birthday on the 10th. So I just felt in my spirit that I needed to send her a teaching on blessings, because when I went through that teaching, it really was refreshing from me, and some of the things which I wish I could have had before, which I was wishing my dad would have done for me. So I made a special request that they watch the teaching together as a special present from me. So they did. And after they watched it, they came back to me. They were like, wow, like when someone really felt like, yeah, what you sent was worth, and it really nourished us. So yeah, and my dad was really happy. He sent me a voice message about the whole thing. And my sister was so grateful. So yeah. After that, I sensed like because when I realized like even him never got those blessings which could have, you understand. So I was thinking, I was just prompted to go into cleansing of my DNA. So like cleansing all the things which you inherit through your DNA. And then after that, asking Yahweh to, Yeshua to be Lord over those gates. So yeah. So at night I had this dream, and in the dream it was like there was like a pile of snakes which were dead. They were just there. So basically I called upon the Holy Spirit to set fire on them. And yeah, it's like somewhere where our family was just there. It was all like cleansed and then it became all white. So I was happy about that anyway. And then yeah, a few other stuff that really happened, and I was so happy because I felt like I was following my spirit, and yeah, I was being led. So Tom invited me to their engaging group. So he was like, "Oh, Sam, come to our engaging group." So I joined them. It was such a fun group, and you know, like each time I've always wanted to know if there's people who engage in England. So apparently these guys, they are in Cambridge, and this other lady is a vicar, and her husband also is in the ministry. So basically their ministry, they help people, they accommodate people, and they pray for people. So there was this young man, Samuel. So he's got such passion for the Lord, and what he loves is exactly what I love as well. So he was like, "Oh, I asked the Lord to help me pay tuition for my uni, and someone just came and paid it for me. I wanted to go to Israel. Someone just bought me a ticket and the whole trip." You know, like when just God is like showing you, oh yeah, these things you can do as well. And so there was one of the guys, he's a pastor, I think. He has so many charities in Northern Ireland. And wow, and it was so refreshing and nice. And I was so excited. So I was so happy because even initially, remember, Christine, when I first met you, I was saying to you, I would like you guys to come and have a conference in England. So I was like, yay! So now, yeah, this is just brilliant. I love it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I don't think we told everybody. I told somebody here the other day, but I was so excited when, I don't know, I think Sam, you might have put it in the group, but at the UK conference that we had,
Yes.
there was
I put it on the Facebook chat anyway. One of the ladies who attended the conference was healed of cancer, and she's so excited and telling everyone, like, all of you who didn't come, me, look. It's like, yeah, it's just an exciting time. Awesome.
That was so cool. You know, it's funny because okay, at the before the conference, the Lord told me that I was supposed to teach on the healing code, and I was like, but that's not my revelation. That's somebody else's revelation. And I was not wanting to do it at all. And he told me again, and I was still kind of like arguing with him a bit about it. And then this lady, Boosie, who came, she just came last minute, and she just came to the conference to get healed. And I didn't, I never even said this was a healing conference or anything like that. So this was a kingdom leadership conference. But she pulled me aside. I didn't know that that's why she was there either. Like, I just, oh, here's a lady I don't know. And so she pulled me aside and like had me listen and talk to her doctor's nurse, who was telling her she needed immediately to have surgery on her foot for this cancer that's on her foot. And she was in extreme pain, excruciating pain, hardly could walk. You know, she had a boot on that was like, you know, the kind when you break your leg or whatever. And totally different. And when she said that, the Lord said, see, this is why I'm telling you to do the healing code. And so I was like, okay. And so I taught just basics on it, and we all did it together. And immediately after that, she had no more pain. She walked like 3 blocks, was totally fine. And the Lord showed me that she was healed. And the next day she wanted to meet with me, so I'd lay hands on her for healing. And I'm like, so do you have pain now? Because she was walking differently too. Like, she's now standing up, walking normal. And she's like, no. And I'm like, yeah, the Lord said that you were healed. Will you lay hands on me anyway? Okay. And so I did that. And the Lord just showed me, he pulled it out by the root and was like, yeah, it was fine. And so I told her that, but it was cool to see that she went back for her test results, or to get tested again, and then had everything come back with no cancer. And so that was really awesome. I get excited about these things, you guys. Anyway, good stuff. I know that doesn't relate. Please forgive me.
Awesome.
Faith building. That's all we need to do here anyway, right? Okay. So Ola, you want to go next?
Yes, thank you. So I realized something that I didn't think about when I was sending in my homework, is that even when I'm not conscious of the homework, it's like I'm unconsciously doing it. And I'm such whatever, that person, that if I didn't think about it and do it, number one, number two, number three, like how I give in my homework, I feel like I haven't done it. And it was like that week where we were supposed to feast. And I hadn't checked the homework, but I just decided one morning, okay, you know what, I'm going to pray, and then later on I'll engage, whatever that means. Like, they're different. And I was already found myself in a feast and everything. And then later on I went to check the homework and I saw feast, you know. And I think that that's what happened to me this week. So excuse my last statement on that homework, because I realized that this week in particular, I had every single day times where I was on the phone to somebody, like I was ministering to them. And even though I went to look at the homework to do it, I forgot that bit because I hadn't planned it in my head. So one of the parts that I wanted to talk about was, a friend of mine had a dream. And yesterday was my husband's birthday. He turned 50. And she knew that it was a big day for us. But she called me in the morning and she was like, please, Ola, I really need to tell you my dream, because it's like a movie. And there are 2 dreams. This dream went on for like 45 minutes. But I remember I said, you have to start again. And then I prayed. I'm like, God, you know, interpretation of dreams, please just give me. And every time, and I told her, I'm going to interrupt you as you speak, as I'm receiving. And as she was saying the dream, I was giving her what I was getting as interpretation from the beginning to the end, and the 2 dreams. And it was about me also. It was about the 2 of us. And last night, when we got back home from celebrating, I had a dream about her dream. I had a dream about what to do about her dream, which I shared with you earlier, Christy, about praying, you know, as in prayer being a wave, and you can mount up prayers and they come in like wave. So that's a blessing for me, because even when we're not conscious of it, we are in the class. And so I don't have to be so academic about my homework, number one. That's actually literally how I write it out in my book and I send it to you also. And without being such a nerd about it, it's happening because it's a spiritual thing. My friend called me a nerd during the week because I realized that there's also a control thing in that where, you know, I'm sitting down now, everyone get out, I'm about to do my homework with my glasses on. Like, it's not that we're relating. That's not how we're relating with God. So even when I don't have my pen and paper, and this is my dad's chair, we call it my dad's chair, and I'm sitting on my dad's chair. Okay, homework time. That's when the beans show up. There, you know, the Lord is with us all the time. So that's a big thing for me, to not be so organized. Like, I can't organize God out of just being. I just need to be. So I wanted to share that. But a bigger thing for me, which also I need to acknowledge, excuse me, is I feel that the Lord is, sorry, my voice is I was just coughing. I feel like the Lord is doing a work inside of me with regards to trauma. We talked about it today and prayed about it, but going back into my week, I can see, okay, like the conversation I had with my husband and my kids and with you, we are leaving the church we're in. And in the past, where I have had abuse, I would run away. And when they said, okay, we're not just going there again, I was like, no, we're going to tell the pastor that we're leaving the church. And what are we going to say? You know how he speaks when people leave? It doesn't matter. We're going to tell him. I didn't, you know, that's a different state for me to be in, where I'm not burning bridges when I don't know what to do and I escape. And then I was walking down the road the other day and I saw my sister-in-law. I haven't seen her in 15 years. And I went through abuse again with her. And when I saw her, I was okay. This same road I used to go on and tie a scarf, wear a mask, and literally disguise myself so that if anyone sees me, they don't recognize me. And now I'm going on it boldly, which was a first step for me. And then I see her and I don't cross the road. I greet her, hug her, and just be. It's such a big deal because I didn't feel anything. And I just wanted to acknowledge that because I have prayed about trauma within this period that we've been here, and just recognizing that even when we're not in prayer per se speaking, or our minds are there, the Lord is still working behind the scenes because the beings are still, like, the Lord is working. The heavens are not closed. They don't have a closing time. So just to say that, you know, like, I wanted to talk about those things because I feel that they're important.
Wow, that's awesome.
Me. Sorry, it was long.
No, that was good. Awesome. Thank you. Nidia?
I want to say I agree with you, Ola. I think for me, most of it is like the homework just kind of happens. I mean, I have it like in the back of my mind, or I have to ask Bill that, like, oh, what was I supposed to do today? Oh, okay. You know, like those events, like the activity, like God had to put it in our pathway for it to happen, right? But we also had to be aware and sensitive to be open to those divine appointments as well. So it definitely, that partnership, right? That partnership that we're supposed to have is happening, which is beautiful, with the heavenly beings and us, like, all working together. I love it.
That's awesome.
I have a question.
Who just said that?
Me.
Oh, hi. Go ahead.
Why am I being worked all the time?
Did you say whacked all the time?
Yeah.
It's because you're sensitive to the Holy Spirit. Of course. You've been like this as long as I've known you.
That's so funny, Sam. I'm always telling God and even the heavenly beings, like, speak to me, shout at me, hit me with a 4x4 because I have trouble hearing.
That's funny.
Even when I'm asleep, it's like something is, I don't know whether it's coming out or draining or coming in. I'm not sure. It's just...
Okay, well, hey guys, all of a sudden, something came up that I would never normally share in this class. But for some reason, the Lord is saying we all need to deploy the heavenly beings together and minister over this person. So I don't know. I know some of you know her, and I'm going to tell you who it is because she would be super blessed that we're doing this for her. Some of you may not know her. Her name is Fair. And so Fair right now is having really significant pain in her eyes and head and is asking for help. And she needs help with this. She doesn't know what to do. She's trying to engage in it, isn't getting anything. And normally, I mean, I get messages like this from people all the time, but this is significant for us for some reason. So let's all focus in and just see what the Lord is leading us to do. Okay. I just saw this, I don't know what exactly it is, but this kind of dragon looking being, but it's not a dragon, that's in our class. And he was just like flew off real quickly. And I saw him start to blow fire. And I could tell it seemed like he was coming against someone who was attacking her or some being or whatever. So did anyone else see anything?
I just happened to look down at my phone, which a while ago I was playing a game of Wordle, and this is, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a house with flowers and trees. I know it's very bright. And I just pictured her sitting out there. And I know you and I were talking about her and how she lived with her mom and dad and didn't have her own place, but she's not living with them anymore. I just thought, I'm like, does this have to do anything with it? It's just because you mentioned it as I looked down to close my eyes. And I started wondering if she just needed to get outside and get her feet on the ground and be grounded, and if she'd been inside too much, or if it could be the opposite. Maybe she was outside and had an allergy. I didn't hear anything, but for some reason that was first thing I thought of, was that she needed to get outside and look, use her eyes to look at the creation and flowers. However, I can get a migraine when I get a reflection of light. I don't know if she's got some kind of a migraine, and it's been a while since I've had that. But I don't know if she's got flowers around her house or where she lives now. But it was really colorful, beautiful colors. I feel like she needs that.
I know that Fair use that she sees things differently, and that I feel like the Lord wants her to rise above that realm that she sees in, And to rise up above that realm and take her authority, that not to do anything about it, but just take her authority and rise above what is happening, because she has authority over it. And she doesn't always have to fight. She's already, the battle's won, but she has to know to take her rightful place above this realm that she sees in, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Can I say something?
Mm-hmm.
Even before you finished talking, I suddenly saw like I think it's like wind, like turning like around, like a tornado going up, and it was very forceful. It suddenly started, and then I like so I got into some war mode where swords just it's like my spirit rose and I removed my swords, and like I whacked them to the ground, and the it's like we were all there, and the angels just right behind us, and the moment I removed my swords, they were at attention and they're waiting for us to move forward. And it was like this huge sound, like wham, wham, wham. And they're like marching forward. And it's like, how do I explain it? It's like thousands, I don't know, millions of angels behind us just backing us up. And then when Camille started talking, I got this image of, I'm sorry, I don't know how to call them. I'll just try and explain it the few words I have. It's like this huge high voltage poles that supply cities with electricity, really huge ones. I don't know how they call them, and they have lots of volts. And it's like,
generator.
Sorry?
Generator.
No.
But big power lines that have.
Yes, those really huge power lines that look like a tower. And so I was like, what is this? And it's like, what I heard was that is fair. And there's something that was trying to cut them. And when I looked, it was like, it was not a person. I don't know what it was, or I don't know if it was I don't know what it was, but it was trying to cut the lines. And well, that's what I saw, like really huge the towers, and that is fair, and there's something trying to cut them. And so when Camille talked about her rising to a higher level, what I saw after that is that she's she needs to, by faith, just release the how do you call it? The charge, the power charge from her. It's like she's like a powerhouse. She needs to release that charge, and whatever is trying to mess around with her will be will be cut off. If I don't know if I'm explaining right.
Yeah.
A transmission tower is what they call it.
Okay.
A pylon. saw an apple core, like all the apples been eaten, but there's just a perfectly shaped core left, but it was almost like it wasn't a real apple because it was so perfectly shaped. And then I felt that she was smelling a foul smell, and that might be an activity, demonic activity or whatever, that needed to be cast away. Because I don't know, I think they have bad smells if they, I'm not sure.
They do.
I asked the Father, what is it that you want me to do for my sister? And I heard remove the veil. So by faith, I remove that veil in the name of Jesus.
I felt there was like a snake wrapped around her head like a turban, so I cut it, just like big scissors cut it, and then I saw her have like a helmet that ended up having like a chest piece with a knight with a horse on top. Helmet of protection. Gonna sound weird, but like she could get, I felt like she was, enough is enough, and got enraged against what was coming at her and just went, and it was like the big bad wolf blowing whatever was like, but it was like a fake house that was falling down, and she was using her authority to do that.
I from when we started engaging, I started hearing a song that is like a warfare song that the Lord has led me to sing over nations before. And I've just been trying to understand why, because it's not for individuals, it's like a nation sort of thing. And what I'm receiving is that we are to individually what has been happening already, just to confirm, to speak over all the strongholds that is coming against her mind and her health.
What are you getting, Christine?
I was still feeling in her head this pressure, and I was just feeling like there's more. It's like what Ola was saying about these different things. There's more mindset stuff that has to go. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, it's still there.
Because the Lord just told me before you said that to say that, to set her mind on things above, fixated on him and only him, and rise above, because they are under our feet, that sometimes we don't, that we don't have to battle it. It's already done. So rise above and fix your mind and her eyes on him and go above. The higher she goes, they can't go there. They can't go to that place. So go up higher. He said, go up higher. Keep coming up. Keep your eyes fixed on me, on him alone, not on what's going on him. They can't go there. They're not allowed.
I got an image of her seated with someone putting the hand on her eyes and the other hand at the back of her head, and where the hand is on her eyes, it's glowing with a lot of light. So, yeah. So I don't know if it was one of us or if it was Yeshua. I don't know, but yeah.
I pictured a turtle pulling its head back into its shell, and Camille saying, come up higher. It's as simple as coming back into the rock of refuge, into the Father. You're already there. Just get your focus back in to where you already seated in heavenly places. It was just a simple move.
Okay, I feel like that's all we're supposed to do right now over her, and that everything else kind of depends on her. So
the last vision I had was of like kind of like a candle coming up, and it had little streamers of different colors, and River and Myrna and Lisa were joining us in the spirit, and it was just all complete now because I just pictured them all. Anyway,
that's awesome.
Reminded me of like a birthday thing, but they were just little streamers.
Cool. Thank you, Lord. Okay, and so right now, let's all just release her back to Father. Everything that we've been carrying with her in our heart and our mind and our bodies, we're just releasing back to Father and trusting him with her. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. Okay. She wanted me to tell the class thank you.
Could I say one more thing? I saw.
Sure.
I was seeing a familiar spirit.
I saw that too. I didn't want to mention it because it's kind of a.
Yeah, me too, because I don't know why I'm saying all these things. You know, like that's how I felt. That's why I didn't say earlier, but I just felt like I was accountable to myself.
You saw what? I'm sorry.
Familiar
Somebody.
spirit.
I recognize a spirit that has been tormenting
In
her
the
for a
beginning,
long time.
it has to do with trauma, because I know in the beginning I felt like this lament and trauma related spirit.
That's interesting. Okay, well, I will let her know. But I just told her that I'm going back to teaching the class. So I'll let her know after all this stuff. Okay. Thank you guys for that. Well, that was kind of, some of you have probably done this a lot, and some of you maybe have never done this before, but I think the Lord is wanting us to be more practical in how this is what we do. Like, this is how we function from heaven. You can do it with other people like this, like all of us working together, or you can do it just yourself and ask the Lord, you know, how do I minister to this person from the heavenlies? And so this is literally how I minister all the time. When I have someone who messages me and says, hey, can you engage over me about this? I just go, okay, Lord, what's happening? How can I partner? That's it. And I don't actually say it. I just like, that's my intention. So there's no secret words for any of this. You just pay attention. Pay attention to how you're supposed to partner. And so you focus in on them. And if you see anything, then you partner with that and you ask more, like, okay, is there anything else? What do we do with this? Oh, I see you're pouring oil. Well, am I supposed to do something with that? Do I need to tell them? You know, like really just continually ask about what else. So the Lord was just telling me earlier in this class, in the beginning, that Nidia, okay, Nidia said, how many of us invited the heavenly beings to engage right now? Well, I was. Hopefully everybody was. Okay, so this is something that we're going to do.
This is a little mini practice. I feel like I said, Lord, thank you for loving.
Yes. That's awesome. Well, so this week, what we're going to be doing for homework is we are going to pair up again, and we're going to engage over whatever the Lord leads. Okay. So for instance, if there's someone and you feel like the Lord is saying, hey, we need to engage over this person, or maybe it's one another, I don't know what it's going to be, but you need to engage the heavenly beings together, and you need to just see what's supposed to happen. And I'll tell you, when I meet one-on-one with somebody, because I need them to engage over me, sometimes I'll just ask them to, but it's better when I meet with them and I ask them to then, because then the Lord starts showing me. When I couldn't really figure it out before, I couldn't see anything before, all of a sudden he starts opening my heart and mind and engaging with me better when I'm with somebody else. And so we're going to do that again. And I know some of you get irritated with always meeting with partners, but I really am listening to the Lord on when you're supposed to. And so just know this is one of those weeks that you are supposed to do that. Wow. I still am feeling this, and so I haven't let go fully. I don't know if you guys feel things in your body, but I do. And so it's a good indication I haven't given her fully over to the Father. So if you feel something like that, just pay attention to that, okay? Because I don't want to carry her stuff and have it become my stuff, right? So that's part of this, is just really releasing and letting that go. And it's kind of like even releasing the frequency of that, all of that. And this is good. Okay. So all of a sudden I said that. I think I had an angel help me, because they always raise my frequency real high when that happens. So that was awesome. Okay, great. Okay. I want to share with you one of my week stories. I was telling somebody, I think it was Irene, but I was telling someone that every week when I give you guys homework, I also do the same thing because I don't ever want to give you something I wouldn't do myself. And so that's something that I do. And this week, I was just paying extra attention to any heavenly beings trying to get my attention. That was kind of my main focus was, okay, how can I just pay attention a little more than normal? And this happens to me sometimes, but this was a kind of funny one. I had this. Okay, there are animals in the spirit, if you didn't know that. So animals do have spirits. But this animal, the small animal, I couldn't tell what it was, but it was a very small furry animal in the spirit brushed against my leg. And so I could feel it in the natural. That's how they get my attention. Okay. Is like they mess with me in my body. But anyway, so I felt this on my leg and I'm like, what's this? And I knew all of a sudden it had to do with my friend Harmony, who I was getting ready to meet with, because Harmony has like this crazy connection with animals in the spirit. And it's just her mandate. She's like this. And I was getting ready to meet with her, and it's like all of a sudden I knew, oh, something is really important with meeting with Harmony and has to do with this animal. And so I just asked all of my angels, I'm like, okay, I need traveling angels to go with me. I need everybody employed. Like, I don't know what's happening, but I need you all to help with whatever's happening with Harmony. And so I was getting ready to drive to her house and I drove over there and she didn't tell me, but until I got there, that they have 2 pet rabbits and one of them died. And she was really heartbroken over it. And what the Lord was showing me was it was actually better because this rabbit was much more helpful to her in the spirit than on the earth. And so anyway, was showing me all sorts of stuff about it. And so we started engaging that. And it was really powerful how this rabbit is supposed to be helping. And I know this all sounds a little nuts, but it was a really cool thing that the Lord was preparing, like was actually preparing, because she was worried that this was a demonic attack. And the Lord showed me that it wasn't actually a demonic attack. It was the Lord's provision, which sounds weird because we always, of course, we know death isn't from, like, that's not something that we partner with. But what was happening was more life was being poured out because of this. And so anyway, I just wanted to share that with you because there are so many different ways that we can pay attention in the spirit and that we can ask for our different beings to come and help, because I didn't even know what to do. I was like, okay, I just know that something's up with Harmony because of this. And so then I just asked all of the angels, especially, and other heavenly beings who are supposed to help to come along and help. And I love that because I don't ever know, like, not ever, but I don't often know what to do in the spirit. I just get clues, like, here's a clue. Hey, I'm trying to get your attention. And so I just say, I don't know what to do. Can you guys come help? If anybody can help, let's help. And so it's kind of like having a great big group, like 100 people in a room, and you don't even know everybody, but you know they all have different skills somehow. And so if anybody can help, let's go help, right? And so that's all we want to do, is just continually be paying attention and just partnering with whatever the Lord is doing and making sure that we give the words that the Lord gives us, nothing more, nothing less. That we don't take control and say, oh, yes, this bunny is coming along to give you joy, or I don't know. We can make something. I would make something up if I wasn't doing that. And so it's good when we pay attention to what the Lord is saying. Hey, I want you to show her that this is now a new partner in the spirit for her. That's a big deal that we have new beings partnering with us, especially closely. So anyway, Dottie said, today when tutoring, I thought I saw my white cat Angel coming down the stairs as she used to softly. She died 4 years ago, and I told Mark this. I have seen a white bag and taken a double take like we used to, but never pictured her coming down the stairs. Could this be her spirit? Could she help the black cat I have now that has an ulcer in the left eye, leaky eye? I mean, I don't know about that, but you're gonna have to ask the Lord. But it's very possible that that's her spirit.
I didn't know animals had spirits. I always thought because Father created animals on the earth and then breathed his spirit into people. I've even told people that's what makes us different. People that thought animals are the same as people when I was talking to them about salvation. So I didn't realize that. I wondered, and I was just thinking, oh, I could smell Angel and I could just hug her, long hair. She reminded me of Duchess. And I thought, I sure hope I get to see her again in heaven. So I didn't realize they have spirits.
Well, I'll tell you what, I didn't know for a long time either. In fact, I kind of thought they didn't just because of the church's teaching, I guess. I just thought that exactly what you said, we're different than them, same with like angels. They say angels don't have souls, and they do. Okay. It's like, it's interesting because I didn't know anything about that. And you go test everything with the Lord, by the way. If you question what I'm saying, it's fine. But I have been shocked to find that all these animals have spirits that are very active, and it's cool. It's really cool. And I've learned that a lot of these beings have bodies, have spirits, have souls, just like we do. And so, yeah, I mean, can I explain everything around that? No, not even close. But yeah, it's really interesting because actually my daughter Eden, when we very first started engaging years ago, she saw all these animals in the spirit next to, well, she was really young, by the way. Okay. So she was 7, I think. She saw all these animals when we were engaging in this forest. And in my mind, I thought, oh, she must be making this stuff up. And then all of a sudden she said, oh, and there are all these angels and they're building this throne. And then she said, oh, they just said, this is my throne. And she didn't know anything about anything when it came to that stuff. Like there was nothing she'd heard about having a throne or, anything like that. And then I started seeing that she's seeing this stuff with animals as a real thing. Like there are all these animals that are attracted to her because of her spirit. And yeah, I was shocked when I first saw that. And then I thought, well, okay, what does that mean? And then I had one of my animals die and really didn't know if I'd ever see him again. And literally, like within an hour, I saw him in the spirit. And I was like, they do. They are in heaven. Like I had no idea. I mean, I really had no idea. And so, yeah, engage that stuff. If the Lord leads you to it, engage it. And see, just ask, hey, can I see his spirit? That sort of thing. Camille, go for it.
I think it's really interesting when you think about it, like in this perspective, I was just thinking this is that the animals are significant because when Adam and Eve were in the garden and the Lord had Adam name all the animals. So there is significance to animals. And then the fact that in the ark, they brought animals. And so there's a lot to that. I don't believe that animals have souls, but I do believe that they have spirits. I don't know about the angels having souls. I don't know. I have to, for myself, have to figure that one out. But I do know the significance for animals, that there is significance to that because they were in the garden. And so they do have a place. And I do know that there's groaning going on for the reconciliation of the earth, the animals, the plants, the earth itself, and for us. And we're supposed to govern like Adam and Eve. We're supposed to govern over the animals in that way for not for reconciliation back then, but we are supposed to do it now for reconciliation back into the Father.
Yeah.
So I just think that's really interesting. So I love that. I love that you shared that.
That's cool. Cool. Well, I want to give you this argument, if you will. No, it's not an argument at all, but take this to the Father. But I submit to you that a soul is will, it's mind, will, emotions, that is your soul. And if you think about, like I could think about Mushface, my dog, okay? He for sure has a will. Like I know he has a will because he's always choosing to do something that he should or he shouldn't do, that he knows, and I can tell. He goes, and when I'm gone, if I leave my door open to my bedroom, he goes and he poops right by my clean clothes. This is what he does every time. And when I come into my room and he follows me into my room and I see that, I just turn to him and look at him, and he starts backing up and he's like, oh crap, I got caught. And he knows he has this. And obviously he's like the most loving dog. He's going to lick you to death. He's that dog. And he has those emotions built in. I can tell that he has a mind, that he has a will, he has emotions. And so that's what I submit to you about that. And I have learned that about angels too, because before I really thought, I don't know why I thought this, because it really isn't scriptural, but for some reason I thought that angels just did whatever Father told them to do, and that's it. Like that they didn't have personalities really. I don't know why I thought that, because, well, if you look, obviously a third of the angels went with Lucifer and chose to go against what Father was doing. So they have a will. We know that at least. But when I learned Arius and how he is he's very reserved. Like he's a reserved person. I don't know if you call him that, but whatever. He's a reserved angel. And he has a personality for sure. Like he is very loving, but he doesn't show it very much. He shows like his strength and his dominance because that's his major role in the kingdom. But if you get to know him, he's so sweet and so loving. And that was the first heavenly being that I really saw had personality. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And I started to get attached to him like I do to people, because, if I love somebody, I want to like go see him, say hi, whatever. And I would start like, he used to hang out only at the Source building all the time in this realm anyway. And so I would go over there and I would like just drive by to say hi and to, I just had this, oh, I love him. I want to say hi and know that I'm thinking of him. And we can do that anytime by just engaging in the heavenly realms. But for some reason, I think I need to drive by a building. Anyway, that's kind of what has happened. But okay, wait, hold on. I have someone writing something privately and I want to make sure I don't miss it. Okay. Okay. That's interesting. Okay, so someone just said, can we introduce everyone here to Earth? And this is another thing that I think we should touch on. Our ministry isn't just to people. obviously. I mean, we just talked about animals and stuff. But we also, all sorts of plants and the earth and sky and water and all of this also have spirits. And this is something that I'm not talking about water spirits like the spirits in the water. I mean, the spirit of the water. And so this is something I really didn't understand. And the Lord worked on me with this so much, especially when I was at the Source building. All of a sudden, there were all of these beings that I started to get to know. And they were stone, like the stone of the building, these metals, the earth, the different trees. All of them had water. There's so much that we were introduced to there about working with them and actually pulling, I don't know if pulling out's the right word, speaking into their destinies. Because what has happened is we've had a lot of spirits of the earth, not just earth itself, but we've had a lot of spirits of the earth who have kind of fallen asleep. And I don't know if that makes sense, but it's like they're not functioning at all in the spirit. And it's up to us. This is why, you know, we've all heard the scripture, creation is longing for the manifest sons of God to appear. It's because we can actually speak their destinies into them and help them fulfill their destinies. And so they all have destinies too. It's not just us. That was like mind-blowing revelation to me at the time. Really going, what? I can speak to a tree's destiny? I thought, boy, everybody's going to think I'm crazy now. But my goodness, it's been so powerful and we all can do it. Actually, I was talking about Harmony earlier. Harmony and I took our girls. We both have girls and a boy, but we didn't take the boys. We just took the girls and we went on this mission trip to Oklahoma. And our mission was to the trees. That's what the Lord told us that we were supposed to do, was minister to the trees, just as he led us. And so he would show us, oh, you need to stop here. And so we'd stop there and we just taught our girls to pay attention in the spirit to who these trees are. Like, what's happening? Who is this tree? Has this tree been abused? Is this tree joyful? Is this tree angry? Like, all of that. And I know that sounds a little strange, but it's real. Go do it. And they have some very special things that we don't have. I've seen this one tree was like this is getting so wacky. This one tree was like a portal to a different dimension. And it's something that I've never seen a human who is a literal portal to a different dimension. We do carry different dimensions in our bodies and things, but anyway, it was really interesting what this tree carried. And boy, just spending time with this one tree, I've had lots of people come and visit this one tree because it's so interesting. Like, this tree is so special. And so it's part of who we are. We're manifest creatures, right? If we're manifest sons, that means we are manifesting heaven into the earth. And so that also means that we pour out heaven into the earth. And so if it's part of our job to minister to everything and everyone, all of creation is longing and groaning for the manifest sons of God to appear. All the planets are moaning, all of everything is moaning. And so we have to pay attention to these things. And it is good. I mean, it really is good to pay attention. So just spend some time, go outside, even if it's freezing, because it's freezing here. Camille and I were just talking about that. But even if it's freezing, go outside and engage the water and the air, which happens to be in the clouds and sometimes coming down. Engage everything that you can, that the Lord leads you to engage. Just spend time in quiet, paying attention to the wind, paying attention to the leaves, paying attention to all of the things that are outside, and just see what the Lord leads you to do. He might just have you appreciate them and call them like to wake up. I've done that where the Lord's just saying, call them to wake up. And that's it. But see if you can minister in that way too. So yes, Camille, go for it.
Just to piggyback on what you're saying, it's so good. And the Lord's been having me do that now for 1.5 years. Remember we were talking about how I'd go out at night and he has me, and all of you are called to do the same thing. It isn't that I'm special or anybody else is special. We all have, it's called restoration of all things, because when Adam and Eve, all that happened, everything was in a different realm. So we're in the earthly realm, and that means all of the things that are on this earth are in that same realm. They're on the earthly realm. So it's the restoration of all things, including earth. Now, I just want to throw this out there for you guys real quick. Just 2 things, if I can, is we were made from the earth. There's a whole big thing on that. I'm gonna be doing a talk on that later on. But also, one time I was walking down my driveway about maybe 2 years ago. Anyway, I have 8 acres of orange grove in my front yard, in my front area. And I was walking and the Lord was having me engage in the wind, in the clouds, in the stars, in the moon, and restoring them back to the restoration of all things. And what that looks like is if we're supposed to have dominion on this earth, these things have to know our voice. They have to know who we are. And so one day I was like, okay, this wasn't making sense because nobody's ever taught me this. The Lord himself was showing me this. And I said, can I see these orange trees in their true nature? And all of a sudden, this just blew my mind. I almost fainted, because I'm in the middle of 8 acres of orange grove, and all of the orange trees, I kid you not, they were gold. And the leaves were like this, and they were waving. They were like saying hello, and they were waving. And I was like, I was almost panicking, like, am I losing my marbles or what? But I had asked for it and he gave it to me. And I was like, this is so freaking cool. So now, because of that experience, I understand and I'm aware, like when Christina's saying this, it's bringing awareness. So once you have awareness, now all of you are going to start doing that. And you're going to be aware of trees and grass. They call it grounding and earthing, but this is just the way that it's been. This is just who we are, because we're made from the earth. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, I just say ask, be aware, and then start restoring all of these things back to original creation, because that's what part of what we're supposed to be doing here. Yeah. So I just love that. I just wanted to share that. Hopefully that'll encourage you guys to go, because I never expected that. I didn't even know we could do that until that happened to me. So
awesome. Go ahead, Dottie.
That was so cool, Camille. And I had never thought about talking to the trees till this class a couple weeks ago, whatever. But so yesterday I'm looking outside my window and I see this huge hawk fly down from, or take off, whatever, take off. And he's like 2 feet tall. Well, we feed the birds. I don't want it to eat another bird. I don't like seeing that. So I was like, no, you don't. I went out, and he took off into the next door neighbor's yard. He actually, first of all, he ran into our screen. I got outside and he ran into the screen and then the pool screen, and then took off. And I'm like, you're not going to eat any birds that I'm feeding in my backyard. I know you're hungry. I know you need to eat. You just can't do that here. Thank you very much. And I sat down there because I'm like, okay, I'm going to stay here and I'm not going to allow you to come back. And Christine said to engage the angels, because I was texting her like, oh, I don't want to see it. I don't like seeing. I went to take care of a bird across the street a couple of years ago, and I thought, oh, it's limping, it's limping. No, I went over there to help it after getting my neighbor. Oh, this bird's limping, and no, he had a little baby bird that I've been taking care of in the tree or watching. So I don't ever want to see that. Well, I sat down and I started thinking, and so I asked angels to just take care of this area and don't allow any of the birds that were putting food out in the crux of the trees. They have beautiful parts that we don't just put bird seed in the bird feeder, but in the trees. And the trees don't mind it. They're just really cool. And I started thinking, you know what? These big, huge staghorn ferns take over so much room. They're 300 to 500 pounds each. We have a trebuchet, it looks like a catapult, holding them each one up. And I've complained to my husband about it's so messy, so big, it's blocking the view and all this stuff. And God stopped me from doing that. I had to repent to these staghorn ferns. I'm like, I know this sounds weird, but I said, I'm sorry, staghorn ferns. You're beautiful. I really appreciate you. I take pictures of you. Each one is different. We got them from different people, and we named them after the people we got them from. That started out here, and now, just huge, huge. And they have orchids. They're symbiotic relationship with the orchids that die, but then they come back, and all of a sudden, the staghorn fern, which anyway, it's just I started enjoying and saying, I love everything that was in there. Anyway, I'm learning. So thank you, Camille, for reminding me about all that stuff too. And I really felt like Fair is supposed to be out there. I just kept picturing the picture of the house with the flowers and stuff, that she's supposed to be out there and enjoying, and that's going to help release it.
Yeah.
The frequency.
Well, I did pass that word on to her. So yeah, that's good. Cool. Well, we kind of got off a little bit, didn't we? But at the same time, not really. It's really about today was just still more about ministering from heaven. So that's exactly what we're supposed to do, is just minister in the spirit more than we minister in the earth. And what we do is we minister from heaven to the earth. So it's not like we're neglecting earth. It's just a different perspective and a different way of doing it. And so we have to pay attention to what's happening in the heavens. And when we do that, then we can actually minister from the Lord and not just for the Lord. You know what I'm saying? Everything we need to do needs to come from him and not just be an offering for him. Though it's awesome to offer things to the Lord, you need to still even do that as you're led. I mean, he will lead even what you're supposed to offer to him. And so just keep that rolling, you guys. I know that you have these things that you're practicing. Some of you do it all the time. Some of you have never done it before. We're all on different kind of a different place along the path, but we're on the same journey. And the journey is really to just become more of who we truly are in the spirit and help everyone else be the same, right? Ola, I don't know what's going on, but those eyebrows tell me I got questions. So can you please?
No, it's not question. It's just that's like, I'm trying to understand when I do that. That's like what happens when I'm prophesying.
Yeah.
Is that right?
I mean, I guess I've never seen you prophesy, but
no, as when you're like listening and
yeah, you're listening and releasing. And it's important. Okay. For instance, when I give you homework, it is just so you take a time to focus there. That's the whole point. You can do it anytime. It doesn't mean you have to do it only with responding to homework, but that's like the whole point of all of the homework, is to help you focus there and to be able to do that. So for instance, I'm not a big fan of like prophecy lines. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Where there's a prophet who comes and everybody stands in line to get a word from the prophet. That being said, sometimes the Lord does that, but the better way is to, when you get a word from the Lord, to give it, not to have people constantly ask for it. So what we're doing when we practice in the homework is we're kind of doing the prophecy line sort of thing. We're saying, Lord, do you have something for me right now? And it's always good to ask, but eventually the point is to be in communion with him to where you're receiving it and then you release it as he leads. And so you're not always asking for it. But that takes practice. And that's why we start by asking for these things. So I will give you homework that will say you need to partner with your person, engage your heavenly beings, and you're going to really seek what is the Lord having you do and how are you ministering from heaven to the earth. And you can do it over any situation he leads. But one of the things we'll be paying attention to all of the beings, all of the heavenly beings, but also all of the beings in the earth. So you're going to look around and go, am I supposed to? I mean, there are times when there are animals I'm supposed to minister to in the spirit. There are times when there are animals I need to tell to get the heck away from me, and I have to know what that is. And I have to be paying attention in the spirit to know. And I mean, I have been training Mushface. I keep talking about Mushface all the time. He's my pug. If you haven't, do you remember him? I showed you once, I think. Anyway, he's a great defender in the spirit. He's quite a little dog, so he really couldn't do anything physically very well. But he is great defender in the spirit. But I've been training him. Like I've been training him for quite a while. And I communicate with his spirit when I do that. So I'm not like barking at him to try to communicate in his language. I don't know his language. Suppose I could speak in bark like I can speak in tongues. But anyway, I haven't learned that one yet. So I just communicate in the spirit with him. But I can tell how he's listening because he responds to what I'm saying in the spirit. And so I'll say, no, pay attention over here. And I'll direct him to where to pay attention to in the spirit. And then he'll turn his attention there. He responds, and I can tell that he's really responding. And it's amazing when we start partnering with animals, and not just animals, but all of creation. Like we can partner with the trees. They can be ones who defend. I've seen trees who are defenders. I've seen trees who are spies. I mean, it's crazy, but we need to really focus on who are they? What are they functioning in? How do we get them on the side of the Lord? And because some of them are already like focused there, others don't want anything to do with the Lord. And so we still have ministry to do. We have a lot of ministry to do. Everybody has a different calling. And for me, mine shifts all the time. So there are times when I'm supposed to, this season, I'm ministering to the trees. And then now I don't really minister to the trees very much at all. I'll just kind of say hi when I walk by. I like to touch them. Anyway, but I don't really minister to them very much anymore because that's not what the Lord's been leading me to do. I just pay attention to what the Lord's leading me to do. And so as long as we have all these things in our back pocket to be able to pull out as the Lord leads, that's the important part. So we'll be practicing more ministering from heaven to the earth this week. I know we only have 10 minutes left. I want anybody now to ask any questions that you have, because we haven't allowed for a lot of questions lately, and anything with engaging, with ministering, anything we've covered it all in the classes. I'm sorry I haven't allowed for very much time for that. So if there's anything that you're like, hey, I'm dealing with this, I have no idea what to do, now's the time.
I put a chat, but you can read that later if you don't want to answer that.
Okay, I can read it now if you want, because no one's talking. If you have a question, speak up. But this says, if we have antique furniture passed down a few generations or bought, should we engage, asking if it is in need of healing from abuse, etc.? Years ago, in prayer of my home with my pastor and a couple others, my secret drawer of princess dresser, a guy from church opened and said he had to cast out a bad spirit. Well, I mean, for sure, I would do that. Yeah, if you can engage, because the wood still has a spirit. So even if this isn't connected to the earth anymore and living in that way, it still has a spirit. And so it's something you can engage and see. Now, is the spirit active? I have no idea. So you just have to ask, because it could be the spirit's asleep just like it always has been for a long time or something, you know.
This was not the one, but that it came from my grandparents' house where, because this was my mom's dresser and mine and my daughter's, but he bought it antique. And so my grandfather's bedroom with my grandmother's princess dresser had a secret drawer that had all these, I don't know if that's where it was. I know there was some money in there, but there he had a bunch of Playboy magazines. I can't remember if they were in the drawer or someone found them out on the porch. I think they were actually out on the porch. And so that negates that. But I just, when you hear secret drawer, you don't know what might have been in there and stuff. So
Gotcha.
I didn't know if it's okay to, I mean, I figured, okay, it's been freed from that, but I didn't think, is there a remnant? Do I need to go? How do okay, I know, ask the Lord.
Yeah. I mean, really, I'll tell you what, Sam just had to leave, but I did this with Sam a long time ago, like probably 4 or 5 years ago. She was getting a new house, and you know, I've done this with people around me in my area and gone through their house to see if there's any weirdness or any great things or whatever, like just go through the house and kind of do a spiritual sweep. You know what I mean? And you go through and you just ask the Lord, you know, show me what's here. Show me if there's something that needs cleansing. Show me if there's something that needs to be engaged, you know, good thing, whatever. But this was the first time I did it with Sam, that I did it on Zoom. And I thought, well, I hope I can feel that, you know. Well, it was great. And I saw some weird stuff. I saw a bunch of trauma that had happened in the house, but then I saw some really awesome stuff that was deposited there, and different rooms were different. And it was really interesting. And stuff that I'm like, well, this is weird, but this door frame here is like holding on to stuff. And so sometimes we just need to do that. And I mean, there have been times when I can sense that there's something off in a room of mine. I don't know what's changed. I'm like, what could it even be? And the Lord has me just kind of do a spiritual sweep, and then to oftentimes take communion or get out anointing oils or whatever and really deal with that stuff. And sometimes there are hidden things. It's something, I don't think it's weird to do that. You can do it as you're led. But the Lord will show you, like, there's no special formula or anything, you know. You just go and say, hey, is there something weird with this dresser? You know, that's it. And see what he shows you. Ola, go ahead.
I noticed that when I pray with people, so I have a sense that it might be that God used my own life experiences to prepare me for this part.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean that everybody I pray with have things that they need to, you know, have deliverance over or whatever. But I tend to see those things, and I tend to know, because I used to pray with scriptures a lot against stuff. I tend to know what scriptures to use, or I've had experience of different things. Like when I saw familiar spirit, I remember how, you know, if I see this, and I'm wondering, because now that I'm engaging, I didn't used to engage then, it was just like, we're just kicking warfare. So now that I'm engaging and I'm trying to learn a different way to pray and to engage with the Lord, to be led, it often, I become unsure of myself in that area when I'm still seeing those things. Is this just something that so if I'm standing in front of someone and I see that, do I then engage to know how to deal with those things instead of dealing with it based on, sorry,
I do know what you're saying. I feel like I dealt with that a lot when I first started engaging too. Because you have a habit of kind of half using the spirit and half using your mind. Because you're used to, oh, it's a spirit of fear. Well, I'm going to speak these scriptures over it. That's what I did a lot. And there's a different way of battling, right? I had to undo a lot of that because what I was shown personally, and this doesn't mean it's how you are, but I was shown that I was still functioning on this side of the veil. So it's like I would see in part and then I would interpret things in my mind or whatever. So he would show me things, but I was still seeing from this side of the veil. When I see from the heavenly realms on that side of the veil, it's like there's no interpretation to be had. It's just like clear, this is what I do. And so I had to learn to only do that. Now, I'm not saying what you're going through isn't useful, because it is, but I had to continue, and I still do this sometimes. I think, oh, I hope this isn't just for me because I've been through it, and so I can tell, like, is my soul getting in the way? I feel like my soul's getting in the way, not saying that my soul is a bad thing, because it can be useful. The Lord oftentimes has you minister to people who have similarities in what you've been through. That's like why he has us go through stuff a lot of times, is so that we can actually minister to them. So I'm not saying that that isn't useful or helpful or normal. That's great, actually. But we still have to always know that that's what he's leading us into. Otherwise, we can give kind of a worldly wisdom instead of a word from him, or we can speak a certain scripture that we know ministered to us, not necessarily what the Lord's saying to give to them. And again, it's not that it's all bad. It's just a different way of functioning. You're functioning from heaven, not for heaven. And so that's the difference, I think. And so that's kind of it's a complicated thing that you just have to walk through and practice and practice and practice. And, the other day I had to call someone and say, hey, I need you to engage for me over this, because my soul's like so in the way, I can't tell if it's me or the Lord. And so I have to admit to myself sometimes, like, I'm not totally clear of that. And actually what it turned out to be is my soul was right in line with the Lord. And so what I was thinking was my soul getting in the way was actually me hearing from the Lord, but I couldn't tell. I couldn't tell at that moment. And so I just needed someone else to confirm that for me. And so I think that that's also the benefit of working together in some of these things. If you're right in front of the person, sometimes it's hard to work with somebody else. But of course, you can always do as much as you feel the Lord is leading you to do. And if it's not perfect, there's grace for it. The Lord will work it back together for our good and his glory, right? Yeah. Camille, I feel like you're disagreeing with me. Is this real? No, it's the face.
Oh, I'm not disagreeing with you at all. I just want to add to it. I know we got to go because it's 1, but Ola, if I'm hearing you correctly, maybe I'm not, but I know this for myself. When I come in front of somebody or groups of people, our souls have soul expressions. And so there are familiars from our souls to their souls that are familiar. So they pick up on that really, really quickly. Mm-hmm. So what I've learned is to, just because you know something doesn't mean you have to do something, because their soul expression is expressing something that comes to your soul expression. So I've learned, probably like Christine, and we're still learning, that we can say, Father, just because that soul's expression to me, am I supposed to do something with that or no? And I've learned now that I can listen to the Father, the Holy Spirit, and they'll be like, no, you don't have to do anything. They're their souls expressing to your soul because you're in that realm and you're familiar and you're ascending and you're doing all these great things that you're going higher and higher up. And so you're going to run into those kinds of things. And not every time you run into that are you supposed to do something. So I've learned that because I've learned that the hard way. I've done these things. I've helped because my heart is just like all of us here. Our heart is to do the work of the Father, and our motive and our intention is to do that, to help because we love the Father and we want to help these people. But sometimes that's not ours to do. And that's really hard for people like us that want to help. So we just got to get really good at saying, hey, Father, am I supposed to do this? And if you're unsure, don't do anything. And I promise you, it will come back around again. So I don't know if that helps you or not, but I know when you were talking, I'm listening to you, but I'm over here engaging somewhere else, but I'm hearing you. So no, Christine, I am not agreeing with you. I'm agreeing with you. So.
Okay, because I was agreeing with you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Cool. All right, guys. Well, it's past time. I'm sorry to keep you over, but thank you for being here. I love you all. Oh, and by the way, it's time to start engaging the Lord and asking him about next semester. So if you remember, we're going to have a 101, which you're in now, a 201 and a 301. And so if you feel led to keep going through it, obviously prepare for that. So I just want you to ask the Lord, spend some time. You don't have to have an answer until, January, but I want you to at least be engaging him and asking him about that. Okay. Okay.
Just a
And you'll
question
tell us
about
who we're going to be meeting with.
Whoa. There were 3 people talking the one time. I have no idea what was just said.
You'll tell us who we're supposed to be meeting with.
Of course I will.
You want us to tell you who we've already met with in a chat? Or who we haven't met with?
No.
Okay.
Nope. Actually, River made me a chart. And so does it mean that you'll all get placed perfectly? No. But you might be with someone who you've had before. If I'm going to try to make it to where it's not, but I also will do whatever the Lord leads. So, okay. All right.
Yeah, I had a question, Chris.
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
sorry. I'll be real fast. So what happens if for example, I'm not going to do the 201, but I can come back to continue with the rest after that? Does that mean that I don't know, are they building one on top of the other, or does it mean I'll have to wait for the following year, or
no,
how
here's
does it
how
function?
it's going to go. At least this is the plan that I feel like the Lord is saying. Okay. So next semester, we will have a 101 and a 201 happening at the same time. So you guys have been through the 101. You wouldn't need to do that again. But you can go through the 201. Then the next semester, we'll have a 101, a 201, and a 301 happening. Okay, so you'll still be able to, and by the way, it's not exactly a semester, it's more like a trimester because we're going to do a summer. So we're going to do like through the spring, January through the spring, and then a summer one, and then a fall one like that. Okay, so that's kind of how it's going to be. So if you feel like next semester you're not supposed to do it, but you're still supposed to do it later, you can do that. Yeah. Does that make sense? You just won't be with the same people. So it's cool. All right.
Thanks.
Anything else? Okay. Love you guys. See ya.
Love you.
Bye.